Welcome to Main Street Minds with your host, Amish Munshi. This is where industry leaders and seasoned pros share their secrets to success beyond limits. Let's dive in.
Hello and welcome to Main Street Minds. Today we have a very special guest, Ray Stenger, all the way from one of my most favorite cities as well, Minneapolis and St. Paul. It was the first place where I started traveling and doing work. I was in downtown Minneapolis for my very first travel assignment in my career. So I love that place, and every time I've been there, I've had like some really good experiences working in it's the in downtown Minneapolis and even the suburbs of St. Paul and Minneapolis. So, without any further delay, let's get started. Ray, share your secrets. Tell us everything about you.
Well, hey, I appreciate you having me on, and thanks for the introduction. First of all, if you had a good time in Minneapolis, you must have been here during the summer because nobody says that when they come here in the winter. So,
Yeah.
that yeah, that's probably the case. Yeah, my name is Ray Stenger. I work for Keller Williams out of the Maple Grove area, which is kind of the northwest suburbs, but I live in the northern suburbs, so I pretty much cover the entire Twin Cities metro area and also western Wisconsin. I've been doing this for I just on July 19th, I celebrated 28 years in this business. The first 19, I was dual, meaning I was both a mortgage broker and a real estate agent. And at some point, it got to the point where I had to pick one. And
Yeah.
real estate's a whole lot more fun than numbers. I consider myself a numbers guy, but real estate's more fun than numbers.
Yeah.
Um, I got into this business. This is a true story. I got into this business because I lost a coin flip.
Mhm.
um, I had been laid off from my corporate America job, and my brother had been had been after me to get into the mortgage business because he owned a part of a mortgage branch,
Mhm.
and and I said after I got laid off, I'm like, okay, well, why not? Let's do that, and I did that. Showed up, and the first morning he's like, well, I just got three referrals from a of or I'm sorry, he sent three referrals off to real estate agents. He said one of us should get our license. So we flipped the coin. I lost, and I became the real estate agent. So that's a true story on how I actually got into real estate. And so then it just kind of took off from there. It was the best coin flip, that I've ever had. Little did I know it back then, but yeah, here I am 28 years later, and really, really loving what I do.
Perfect. Yeah. So it's always good to have this rich experience. You've seen almost everything within real estate by now. Like 28 years is a really long time. Like every possible transaction, every possible complication that might have come up, and more importantly, the way the regulations change for the better. I always see the intent for making all the new regulations is always good. The implementation and the reality on the field sometimes gets a little bit skewed of like, how do we really do this with the whole, even on the Dodd-Frank Act with the loan estimates and closing disclosures. I love the reasoning why it exists, but trying to explain that to the borrowers, it's like, holy crap, this is so confusing. It's, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, very much. Um, on the mortgage side of things, it's just more boring. I don't know, but over time, you're right. I've seen every market, right? I've seen good markets. I've seen bad markets. I've seen, basically the economy at its worst and the economy at its best.
mhm.
And, strangely enough, there's a real estate market in every one of those. And those markets, good or bad, right? People are buying and selling houses, and so that's the one thing that's been the constant. And even today, I feel like real or just people across the country have this mindset. Well, gosh, it's real estate market is bad. It's because it just wasn't as good as it isn't as good as it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I just sent out a newsletter to all my clients, and because I get asked this question all the time, I get asked, hey Ray, is it turning into a buyer's market? And my answer has been absolutely not. It's still absolutely a seller's market. However, there's windows in there, throughout the year that where buyers can win. And so buyers can still be successful. I know interest rates are high, although the Fed came out here over. It looks like we saw an interest rate drop here. Um, Actually, I'm sorry. The Fed came out with a jobs report, and the report is going to probably lead to an interest rate drop. But we'll see how that goes, right? We always think we know what's going to happen next, and something happens. So,
Yeah, there's going to be one more jobs report that comes up before the next meeting. So
yep, yep.
yeah, so I don't know if this was all like timed the way it was supposed to or what happened, but tell us more about the market. Like right now, you did mention it's probably a little bit softer. It's definitely not as hot as a couple of years ago, but it's still a seller's market, right? So if a buyer wants to buy something in the Twin Cities right now, like what would you recommend? What do they need?
So in Minnesota, it's a good question because in Minnesota we have seasons, right? I mentioned the winter and kind of made fun of that, and everybody has probably heard about the Minnesota winters. And by the way, it's all true. It's close to unbearable. Why we all live here, I'm not sure. But what I do know is over time, history repeats itself, right? To the point where you can kind of predict what's happening. And I'm a numbers guy because I used to be in the mortgage business. I really follow the analytics and the statistics and things. And what it says is that historically, to be the best time to be a seller
Mm-hmm.
is somewhere in the March 15th through May 15th area. In Minnesota, that can change because sometimes we have winter going into mid-April, right? So it can change a little bit, but historically, that's what it is. So if it would make sense that if that's the best time to be a seller, it would also make sense it's not the best time to be a buyer, right?
Yeah.
Because there is a time later in the year, and in Minnesota, it hits right around July 1st, right up because everybody in Minnesota, we go up north to the lake or whatever during the July 4th weekend. And so therefore it seems like real estate, it doesn't stop, but it certainly slows down quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're seeing is a lot of price drops because there's just not as many buyers out there. I mean, there's low number of buyers anyway, just in general. And then when you compound the fact that it's in Minnesota, we only have a couple months a year to really enjoy the really nice weather. So therefore, there's even less buyers from July 1st till about October 1st. And believe it or not, around the holidays, it starts picking back up again.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I'm an investor as well, and I'm looking to pick up homes because I can get them cheaper
Yeah.
somewhere in that July 1st through October 1st range.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we put an offer on a place last weekend here, and just kind of prove that fact.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to pick up, another property or so. I want to pick up at least 1 to 2 properties every time this time of year, so that because I can get a deal on it, I'm also advising my buyers for that too, right? I've got investors that I work with, and so I'm indicating that that's going to be the case. But ultimately, to stay in business as a real estate agent, you need to have listings.
Yeah, yeah. Listings is the only way. Buyers is also one way to do it, but listings is
Mhm.
easier way to like build a more scalable business.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, listings and if you have I teach classes at my market center, and I'll ask the people, the new agents, would you rather have a buyer, or would you rather have a seller? And
Mhm.
they kind of look at me like, well, I wonder, well, this is a trick question, right? And because they really don't know the answer, but the answer is absolutely a seller, because a seller can then turn into a buyer, right? So
Yeah,
you might get 2 transactions, and then you have the ability to market their properties as well.
yeah.
And so then you pick up buyers from there, buyers and sellers from there, actually.
Right from the same listing, you might start picking up buyers.
Yeah. You want to get buyers, get a listing. That's how you get
Yeah,
buyers.
yeah, yeah. So tell us a little bit more about that whole coin flip thing. So is your brother now focusing still on mortgages, and you're still focusing more on the real purchase and sales?
So my brother has 2 passions in life, or he has now, it's one, but his passions back then were he was the women's gymnastics coach for the University of Minnesota
Right.
women's team, and him and his wife just got hired at Cal Berkeley out by you somewhere, right? Yeah. So they're the new gymnastics coaches out at Cal Berkeley, and they're super excited. And this just happened less than 30 days ago. So I'm helping them get set up out there with a realtor in the Bay Area and things. And so yeah, it's
Yeah, definitely. Let me know if there is any help that you need on this side.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. But so he stopped doing mortgages about 10 years ago, which coincidentally is, about the same time I really stopped doing mortgages as well. And what I did is I just leveraged that out to referral partners, and I've got three different lenders that I work with pretty much every day, and I trust them all. They've all been in the business a long time, and at the same time they feed me business too, right? So they refer me out, and so it's been a real good relationship, with those three, and yeah, I trust them like they're my own partners.
Yeah. So tell us about a little bit about you. Like, where do you like to vacation? Like, are you going up north to the lakes, or are you going somewhere far?
So my wife and I love the Caribbean.
Nice.
We haven't bought a place in Fort Myers yet. My in-laws have a place in Fort Myers, and so we are there uh, in probably anywhere from 3 to 5 times a winter. In our business, I can only sneak away for probably 4 or 5 days max,
Yeah.
and that's about it. But we usually will take one trip as well somewhere into the Caribbean. Last year we went to Punta Cana, and this year I think we're going to Cancun. We've already got it booked. So yeah, so we love traveling. That's one of my main things that I like to do, especially in the winter. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you're going to travel, you're going to do it in the winter so you can get
Oh,
out
yeah.
of cold weather.
Yeah, and I just went on a cruise to Mexico like last month, and fortunately the weather was fine. It wasn't as hot as I expected it to be. But yeah, Cancun has been one of my most favorite place, even for my daughter. If we ask her what's her favorite place to go, her the number one spot that shows up is Cancun, and I'm pretty sure she didn't drink anything, but I'm like, we went to an all-inclusive resort, and I don't know, she just loves Cancun with those all-inclusive resorts that are there.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, and we've done quite a few cruises as well. That's one of our favorite things as well. Although we've seen too many, I think we watched too many Netflix documentaries because I'm beginning less enthused about cruises lately. But that's
Yeah, yeah, it's a hit and miss, right? Like with kids, with small kids, I think it's a little bit more peaceful. But if I'm like, I was like, I like to explore. I'm the adventurous person. I want to like do the zip lines and the
yeah,
out
yeah.
stuff and the skydiving, and I'm like, what am I doing on a cruise?
Right. Otherwise, up here, in Minnesota's the land of 10,000 lakes. So there's a lot of places to go up here, and even northern Wisconsin. I think I mentioned to you before we got on the air here that I got a vacation plan next week up in northern Wisconsin.
Oh,
And so my wife and I and our dog are the three of us are going up there and just
nice.
kind of unplugging for a while, if that's at all possible. And you know,
Yeah, yeah, it's
I,
tough in our business.
yeah, I tell people I signed up for this a long time ago, so it is what it is, right? And
Yeah, like
I just have to put up boundaries here and there to make sure that we keep everybody on my side, my wife and kids happy, and so I've been able to do that pretty well.
yeah, like we a lot of people do real estate because it gives us the flexibility to attend the kids' school events, but
Yes.
the flip side is yes, it doesn't. It means that we are always connected as well.
Yeah, my kids they're adults basically. They range from we I have four of them, 20 to 26, and so I was the dad and that was coaching all the kids in sports. I played two sports in college and five in high school, so our whole for about 15 years there it was all sports going off any which way. It didn't matter the time of the year, and
Yeah,
we'd be going off somewhere. And so that's thankfully done because that was pretty taxing, but it gives me a little more free time.
it's a lot of fun, right? Like all the good memories of
Yeah.
doing it. So what sports did you like?
I played Division II basketball for St. Cloud State University, and which is in Minnesota here, about an hour and a half north of Twin Cities, and then I played one year of football as well
Mhm.
up there. And I was supposed to play baseball, but I said enough. I can't do it. Uh,
Yeah.
so I stopped. So most of my kids' sports, and I coached a total of 30 seasons for my kids, and most of them were baseball and basketball.
No, nice, nice, cool. Yeah, somewhere I thought there will be a little bit of ice hockey involved somewhere, but yeah, I think it's a great. It's good to have a little more variety in sports and know more, get to know more people as well, right? So
Right, right.
tell us more about the market. Like, are there like starter homes or are there like luxury homes? I know every market has a mix of everything, but if somebody is getting started, and what kind of clients do you serve?
So because I've been in the business so long, I mean, I've really seen it all. And so I love the idea of first-time home buyers because nothing is more fulfilling for me
Mhm.
than to watch somebody buy their first home and play a huge role in that. And nothing is more fulfilling than that.
Yeah.
Having said that, I'm about two-thirds listings and about one-third buyers.
Okay.
And so lately, I mean, in today's market, right, it seems like buyers don't have a whole lot of motivation. I mean, interest rates haven't been friendly, but I think we can all agree that we'll never see 2 or 3% again like we did. And I think people are just holding on. The market's going to get better. Or some people tell me the market's going to tank, right? I mean, and we just know from the supply demand aspect that that's just not foreseeable that we can see.
Yeah.
Um, and so what I've been running into, honestly, and maybe it's my demographics and being the age that I am, is I've been running into a lot of people that are downsizing or
Mhm.
possibly, moving out of states, again, moving to somewhere south and, somewhere
Yeah.
warm,
Mhm.
or moving into, even nursing homes and, or even just downsizing from their big family house that they raised their house or they raised their family in, down into maybe a townhouse or something like that. So it seems like those are the people that have motivation right now, because a lot of those people, they probably own their house outright. They don't owe much. And so
Mhm.
they're paying cash, for a lot of those. And so interest rates really aren't affecting them as much. So there are people out there that are looking. I know I just met with a couple the other night that are, unfortunately divorcing, but that's the motivation, right? You need that, right? And then obviously you have people passing away and things. But I know I read a stat that says that the average home buyer, I'm sorry, the average first-time home buyer is 38 years old,
Mhm.
which is
Yeah.
crazy to me, right? I mean,
Yeah.
when I've said it to other people, they don't believe me, and it's like, no, well, I read it. It was, it was in a real estate. Can't remember the publication, but it didn't surprise me because in Minnesota we're seeing all these rental units going up, large apartment complexes going up, and that's what people are doing, as a rule, because they can't afford the payment at 7%, 8% interest rates, and that they're being forced to do that. Even though
Yeah.
I could argue that they still should do it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and it's still going to be better long term for them, but that's not what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I mean, if there are ways to work around the numbers, like don't let numbers be the reason. Like buy a house when it's the right time for you to buy the house, and obviously buy a house that you're comfortable living in.
Yeah.
Don't overstretch yourself, and it's going to be all fine. Don't be
Yes.
stressed with the numbers.
Yeah, you have to be able to stomach that payment, right? You have to be able to take that in and be comfortable with it. But
Yeah,
over time, they're going to be able to refinance that rate at some point, and
yeah,
they're gaining equity on it. Since 1971, the average home is growing at a 4% clip. So if you just figure if you owned your house 10 years, you've made about 40%, as a rule.
yeah,
And I always look back at it and I'll ask somebody if, especially for the people that haven't bought a house yet, and I'll ask them, if you could have bought a house 10 years ago, would you have? And then, of course, the answer is yes. What about 5 years? Well, of course.
and it,
Two
or
years. The answer is always yes.
yeah,
And then why haven't you?
hmm
You know, and then I don't like to. I don't like to make them feel bad to say that, oh gosh, you've lost out on hundreds of thousands of dollars, possibly depending on the size of the house, but you have.
yeah, yeah. The way even I explain it is like your rent is 100% interest. It's all
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
And on the other side, like somebody that's like analytical, I tell them, do you understand the difference between compound interest and simple interest? Your loan is simple interest. Your house is compounding. It's
Mhm.
4% compounding in
I
price.
like that. Yeah, I like that. That's good.
Yeah. That's just the analytical engineer in me, right? Like I like I like to look at numbers.
Yeah, yeah. You and I get along well. That's for sure. And
Yeah.
speaking of numbers, in Minnesota, the way that I can tell the market is going, what it's doing is for me personally, I look at days on market for the current inventory,
Hmm.
and from from June to July, we don't have August numbers yet because we're only obviously what, 9 days into it, whatever it is. But it went from in Minnesota, Minneapolis, St. Paul area, we went from 23 days average time on the market to 33 days average time on market,
Hmm.
right? So, I mean, that's pretty
Yeah.
telling.
Yeah. I mean, that's if we just think that it takes at least 21 days to get a loan done, 23 to 33 is almost still magic.
Yeah, yeah. So houses are sitting longer. I know I've got, um, and going back to you asked a question earlier, what's selling? First-time homebuyer houses are selling right now. That price range in Minnesota is probably $400,000 and under. Those are selling very well. Above that, there's got to be something special about the house. You know, I I run into a lot of sellers, that think their house is worth more than it is,
Yeah.
and you know my and then I present my numbers to them as far as what I came up with,
Mhm.
why do you think, Mr. Seller, that your house is worth that? And it's usually because the neighbor down the street sold it for what, or he put in $100,000 of upgrades, which certainly helps, but it doesn't equate to $100,000 of equity, so to
Yeah.
speak, right? So, at least in today's market, if we're in Minnesota, if we're talking, if we're talking March to May, then we're having a different conversation. But here,
Yeah.
it's literally week to week, as we start the change of the seasons, right? So you
Yeah.
really have to be on top of it.
Yeah, and like everything is getting just so expensive. Like a Home Depot run is like a $200 thing for like the minimum thing. Last year, my brother was here. He lives in New Jersey. He was like, smoke detectors are like $15, and I went to Home Depot and I was like, I came out with four smoke detectors for like $250 over here in California, and he's like, this is why houses are expensive. I was like, yeah, this is why houses are expensive. He goes down back to a Home Depot in New Jersey. He sees the same thing, like smoke detectors at $50, and he's like, how
Yeah,
did things go from 15 to 50 in 1 year?
yeah, yeah,
And like,
and
those are like small
and
things.
right. And then you wonder why housing prices keep going up, right? The new construction houses, right? And I
Yeah.
mean, they're pretty much reflected in that. I know up here, the builders around here are giving away incentives for buyers to purchase a house, and they're pretty darn good incentives. I think we've had five new home constructions here in the last probably 4 months, 5 months, probably something like that. And every single one of them, the builder was buying down the interest rate to somewhere around 5% and not just a temporary buy down, that was a permanent buy down,
Yeah.
right? So, around here, a buyer hears that, and if interest rates and payments have kind of been their kryptonite that they don't want to move, right? We've been able to get quite a few people into new homes at payments they can afford, even though the sticker price might be a little higher than they wanted to spend,
Hmm.
but because of the payment is reflected so much that they're accepting the terms because of the lower interest rates.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. And it's exactly the point, right? Like don't let numbers scare you. If you're looking to buy, if it's the right time in your life to be buying a house, buy it. From a market perspective, I think this is a great time to be buying. If the rates are lower, the house prices are just going to be much higher.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's the old supply demand thing, right? If I tell my sellers, if I only have one offer, it's really hard for me to negotiate it. But if I got two, then it's game on, right? And and you're right. If interest rates, go down to where they're saying they could go down to in a few months, then we're gonna have a busy winter.
Yeah, at least over here in California, like the first quarter was very busy. Second quarter, I have no idea what just happened. There's like not enough renters, not enough buyers. Like everyone is just chilling.
Right.
And
Right.
but if the rates go down, I think the demand is still there. Like everyone I speak with is like, I still want to buy like a second home, a investment property. I want to like move. The demand is just going to come back like crazy if the rates are and especially over here in the higher price market, the impact of the interest rate is a lot more. Like there's a $6 million listing available for 3 million right now, and I'm like, I want that, and it's probably worth close to five if market was reasonable.
Right. I made that comment earlier about the first-time home buyer average age is 38 years old. Here's another stat that I heard that just makes me um, just amazed. And the stat says that when you compare a homeowner versus a renter, the
Hmm.
homeowner has an average net worth that's 35 times higher than a renter.
Hmm.
Right. So, I mean, let that sink in. 35 times more net worth if you own than versus
Yeah,
renting.
yeah.
I mean,
And like a lot of people again like get lost saying, I want to buy that nice, really nice home. But it's important to buy something that's
yeah.
good. And then the second home can be the one that you really want it to be. But it's very, very difficult to get to that perfect home without the history.
Yeah, you're right. I tell my buyers, especially the first time ones, you don't expect to buy your dream house. It's not going to happen right now. Especially if they have, an FHA buyer, 3.5%, 5%, or even 20% down, right? You're still at this point, you're not going to buy your dream house. What you're going to buy is a house that checks most of your boxes.
And it's much better than the apartment and the condo. It's
Yeah, right.
much better than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so then you start, right? Then you live in the house for however long until your motivation takes you elsewhere, right? And you'll keep building, and eventually you'll have enough equity there to buy your dream home.
Exactly. Yeah. So as we are coming closer towards the end of this episode, like what are some of the other tips and tricks that you would like to share with the audience, and what's the best way people can reach you?
Um, so I'll start with the second one first here. So the way that people can reach me is either my cell phone number, which is my office number. It's my everything number. It's 763-370-7502. An email address at which is raysells.homes@raystenger.com. And then the name of my business is Ray Stenger Homes. I'm active on Instagram and Facebook and things. So I'm just about all the social media. So yeah, connect with me any which way we can figure out. I have myself. I have an assistant, a full-time assistant. She does everything. She does probably 80-90% of the work, and all I do is have conversations with people. She does the rest of it, and she's fantastic. And then I have another part-time assistant as well. So it's just me running my team. As far was the other advice? Is that what?
Any other piece of advice that you would like to give to the audience?
Um, you know, um, I look at it this way, and it's one of my favorite quotes of all time, and it's very simple. It says when you're in real estate, if or in life, basically, if you feel like you're in control of your life, you're not going fast enough.
Hmm.
And that was a quote by Mario Andretti.
Yeah,
So, um, you
that
know,
is, yeah,
yeah, so it's, coming from an entrepreneur kind of mindset, and I think that a lot of homeowners will have that same kind of mindset, to do better not only in real estate but in buying homes. If you're comfortable, that means you're not going fast enough. So, what else can you do?
yeah, yeah. And so take the plunge. If even if everything doesn't look absolutely perfect, real estate is a very safe, reliable thing to work. Obviously, there are risks in everything. Don't just go crazy. Work with good professionals, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a great point. And I'll finish off with that. It's use somebody who's a professional. In Minnesota, the average number of homes that a realtor sells is 5 per year,
Hmm.
and there's less than 1% of us that sell 45 homes or more.
Yeah,
Right? Who's going to be a better advocate? It's not your cousin's friend. It's not this family, whoever, right? You're not loyal to them. You're loyal to yourself, and you're loyal to what's best for you. And usually that's working with someone that really knows their stuff and can help you succeed, whether you're a buyer or a seller.
yeah, yeah, and exactly. Like there's a lot more that goes into the transaction than just saying, "Hey, this is not we." It's not just paper pushing, or it's just not listing things on MLS. There's just so much more that happens behind the scenes. So work
Yeah.
work with somebody that's really good, like Ray, and reach out to the right professionals, and you'll be taken very good care of.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's a good way to sum it up.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Ray. Thanks for jumping on a busy Friday. I hope you have a great vacation next week and looking forward to doing more work with you.
Yeah, thanks. It was an honor being here. Thanks for the invite, and anytime. And we'll chat again soon, I'm sure.
Thanks, Ray.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Main Street Minds. Want to share your journey with our audience? Head over to mainstreetmindspodcast.com/guest to apply.